I will tell you a story from our ancient scriptures. Once upon a time, there was a couple, husband and wife, who, like many other couples, would always quarrel and fight with each other. So much so that one day the husband got so exasperated, he just walked out of the house. He just stormed out. He couldn't take it anymore. And as he walked out, he walked around and he found himself straying in front of what looked like a temple. And he noticed it was a Vishnu temple. He had never been there before. So the story goes, he walks in and there's nobody in the temple. There's just the idol in front of him. And he's never been very religious or anything of that kind. But lo and behold, Lord Vishnu gives him a personal direct darshan with 4 arms and all that, and says, ask for 3 boons. He said, 3 boons? Yeah, 3 boons. So he is very clever. He says, I can only ask for 1 boon right now because that's in my mind. So he says, okay, ask. What is it? So he says, help me get rid of my wife. So Vishnu smiles and says, you really want that? He says, yes, tathastu. When he goes back to his house, to his pleasant surprise, he finds his wife has packed her bags and waiting for him. And she tells him, I'm fed up with you, I'm going. He says, you really want to go? He says, yes, I'm going. He's inwardly happy and to see the end of her. And then he wants to celebrate. So he calls all his friends over and the friends tell him, what have you done? You should see our wives. Your wife is such a noble, gracious lady compared to them. She cooks good food. And once they start talking about her virtues, he suddenly realizes he's made a big mistake. So he says, what to do? They said, forget it. We don't want a friend like you who can't, now we can't even have good food in your house. So they leave. So he's again frustrated and he again finds himself walking, meandering, and he comes in front of the same temple. Again he goes in, there's nobody in the temple, and promptly Vishnu appears in front of him and says, are you ready for your second boon? He says, yes. But he says it with a long face. He says, I want to get my wife back. So Vishnu says, is that really what you want? He says, yes. Tathastu. Goes back. Again to his pleasant surprise, his wife has come back with all her baggage. She prostrates in front of his feet and says, Arya Putra, blah, 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 forgive me and all. So he says, okay, don't worry. When they go in, he confesses to her. He says, look, there's something happening, I don't understand. And he tells her the story. Then he tells her, look, we have 1 boon left. Okay, what should we ask for? And they're confused. So they go around to their friends and relatives like us, Each person will say something else. He will say that 100K is not enough. You should ask for more. So they got a lot of opinions like that. Some people said, ask for all the gold in the world. Somebody says, what's the use? You may die tomorrow. Cannot enjoy. Then they say, ask for health and wealth. So he was totally confused. But he was clear about one thing. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. Then he made up his mind and he went boldly to the temple. And again promptly Vishnu is there in front of him, smiling as usual, and says, are you ready for your 3rd boon? He says, yes and no. Can you permit me to ask you 1 question before that? Vishnu says, okay, that's what you want. He says, I am totally confused and I know that I am being tested and I have no faith in anybody, but I have faith in you. So tell me, what is it that I should ask of you that is in my best interest? So, see, it's very clever. That is a clever idea. That's a good way to ask a question. I wish our students ask such questions, but they have no doubts on what they want. So Vishnu says, but you may not like the answer. He says, I don't care. I've reached the pits of my life and I know you will show me the right direction. And then Vishnu tells him what do you think he said? It's related to prosperity. What do you think he said? He said, ask, you're right, ask that you be contented with whatever you have. So simple. And so he asked, and so he received. And when he stepped out of the temple, the world looked completely different. For the first time in his life, he saw shining green leaves in the trees. I hope when you leave this hall also, you'll be able to see. He saw the deer for the first time in his life. They were there in the campus, but he never noticed them. He saw the squirrels, the clouds, the freshness in the air. And when he went home, his wife didn't look like the old wife. She was beautiful. And there was a glow permeating from everything in the universe. Something had happened. And the story goes, they lived happily ever after. But look at the beautiful moral in the story. Nothing had changed. Absolutely nothing had changed in the outer realm. But everything had changed.